Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the video. In this video I wanted to just share one dungeon run with my personal favorite party to send the Abomination. I have over 200 hours on the game, and so I'd like to consider myself someone that can figure out how to optimize with trinkets and skills and just general good decision making. Now that doesn't mean this will be a successful run guaranteed, considering that, let's face it, there's a lot of RNG involved in the game, and you can lose someone from full health without ever having the ability to act. But hopefully with this party composition and the trinkets I'm about to equip, that won't necessarily happen. Now, generally I'd like to go for a long mission here, but it doesn't look like we quite have that opportunity. So, let's see, we have one... Okay, so we essentially have one person that's got benefit in the Warrens. I don't see anything for the Cove. Sorry, Wield. It's a Wield, yeah, okay, 15% damage to the Wield. And it looks like that's about it. So we'll be going for the Wield here. I don't see anything negative for it. Oh, okay, well, we can manage with that. Ooh, I gotta get rid of this. This is actually really bad, considering that this is gonna be a light run. That is gonna hurt us quite a bit, but we'll manage. Okay, so first of all, guaranteed, what I always do is I equip Lantern. The 30% chance party surprise, 30% less chance for the party to be surprised, I think is just massive. I can't think of really many other trinkets that can be more beneficial than this. This is one of those trinkets that you don't really notice how powerful it is because it prevents an act or an event from happening. So that's why it's kind of easy to pass over this, because if you constantly don't get surprised, then after a while you don't quite realize how problematic it can be. But ever since I equipped this, I got this and I started equipping this on practically 95% of my runs, I have been surprised dramatically less. And as such, my runs have ended up being much more successful with far less casualties, far less excess amount of damage or stress added. And the other way I look at it is 30% chance, 30% less chance for the party to be surprised is 30% chance for the enemy to be surprised. And the reason I say that is because there can't be a scenario where at the start of the battle both the enemy and your own party are surprised. So if you're 30% less, 30% chance less likely to be surprised, then in a way, more or less, the enemy is hence more likely to be surprised. And I actually found that to be the case as well, because very often I end up surprising the enemy party, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that in this run. Okay, so the Jester is mainly going to be used for his buffs and stress heal. Wait, seal. Okay. Yeah. My occultist, I'm going to be going ahead and equipping with. First of all, let's take care of these guys because they're my main damage dealers. Okay, so just give him his items. I really like the way that these items have been designed. They don't feel too powerful or too weak. They feel just right. Gonna go ahead and give him the Berserk Charms. Generally speaking, I'd like to avoid giving them items that increase stress, but the reason I give him the Berserk Charm is because that 2 extra speed is very useful, considering that the earlier I can use Retribution at round 1 and any other round, the more likely the enemy is to hit him, deal damage solely to him, and also have the repost, sorry, I can't pronounce very well. And additionally, prior to this, I always equip him with surgical gloves, generally because the debuffs aren't that bad, or the negative portions of it aren't that bad, and the crit's always nice, considering he already has 3% additional crit. But the issue here is that he also has rabies. So whereas I'd like to give him the pen so that he gets even more crit chance than with the surgical gloves prior, I gotta give him the focus ring. And the reason for that is because I gotta counteract that accuracy debuff. But I always keep rabies on any of my heroes because well, he doesn't have it. Because rabies is awesome. Which sounds like a very weird thing to say. Anyway, and lastly, just to take care of my occultist, I'm gonna give him this so that we can counteract some of that stress from the negative quirks. Plus, I always end up equipping this because you need to be able to manage stress well with this party. He has additional stress heals received and 25% less stress damage. Again, minus 20 stress, minus 25 stress to party and himself when he transforms. And unfortunately, I had to go ahead and give him this plus 15 stress damage. But the good thing is that luckily we'll be able to manage it since there's not going to be too much stress being taken by the team. And finally, let's go ahead and round him out with I think I'm gonna go ahead and just give him the musket ball just so that he has a higher likelihood of critting with abyssal artillery, which is going to be his main use outside of healing. And with that, we are ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm rich, so I always go ahead and just get lots and lots of food because it's always a great way to heal outside of combat until some sort of systems implemented in game that would allow us to heal outside of combat. Food, I guess, is the best way to quickly remedy your heroes. Now, considering I do not have a witch doctor, I'm also gonna go ahead and grab Anti-Venom just so that they can hopefully prevent any large amount of stacks of poison on any of my heroes. Generally, I won't remove it if it's like 2 damage for 3 turns, but if it starts stacking into 6 damage for 3 turns or something like that, then yeah, I'll start getting rid of it. This isn't too bad. We'll go ahead and go here, and then on our way back, we'll just finish the dungeon off. Go in this direction. Now, generally speaking, I would love to use the firewood and just buff the hell out of my my front line by giving him 20% damage here to the Abomination, and then using his buffs again on himself and the Abomination, and then the Abomination's 25%, so he'll go up to something like 65% additional damage with some additional crit and accuracy. Now, the problem with that is because there's going to be a lot of need to mitigate stress. I'm going to need to end up saving the firewood to heal both health and stress on my heroes. So as much as I'd like to give them the buffs, which arguably would allow me to eliminate enemies faster, I'm not going to be able to do that or allow myself to do that because I won't be getting the most benefit out of my firewood. The firewood I generally tend to use as more of a worst case scenario, shit hit the fan, and all my teams at half health or something like that with high stress, and then I need to start mitigating the stress and health damage, and that's when I use the firewood. And then I buff all my heroes, and then the rest of the dungeon is a breeze. But as I said, generally speaking, I usually do not use the firewood early on. Now, what you're going to notice is when I'll have a more challenging lineup of enemies present themselves in front of me, I'll end up using the buff more often than I would the stress heal from the Jester, and especially once the front line gets buffed with crit chance from, how much is it? 3%? Yeah, it's not much, but it's something. Once we start getting that crit chance up from both the Jester and the buffs, you'll see that my group is going to be critting so often that we'll practically not be gaining any stress, which just the crit stress heal is going to counteract any stresses we'll be getting, and that's really a sight to behold, because shit, I only have one shovel left. Generally speaking, you'd expect there to not, how do I put it, because of how the Abomination's current transform works, and I assume that this will be changed. At higher levels, there's additional stress heal to the party members when he transforms back into a human form. So, as you can see here, when he transforms, other heroes receive 8 base stress damage at lower light or additional stress damage percentage from quirks or whatnot. They'll take more stress damage than 8. But generally speaking, at a light run, especially when they have stress reduction trinkets, they'll take 6 damage, and then they'll heal 6 stress damage. And with any crits that occur during the fight itself, generally speaking, they'd end up with a benefit in terms of how much stress they've received from the Abomination having transformed, which I have to say seems a little counterintuitive, considering that you wouldn't expect, considering the design of the Abomination, that transforming into a monster and transforming back would result with a net positive impact in terms of stress. Which again is why I think that at some point there may be some sort of change or nerf to the Abomination where it either increases the stress damage over time and the stress heal, or neither the stress damage or the stress heal gets increased over time, or maybe the stress heal just gets to where it doesn't heal as much, but still heals a little more with levels. Like maybe instead of 1 additional stress heal to the ability when transformed back into a human per level, maybe it'll be 1 additional stress heal every 2 levels, which is what's currently going on with things like oh, this isn't the Witch Doctor, with the Witch Doctor's poison or whatnot, which, well, actually I haven't gotten a chance to upgrade a Plague Doctor, and I don't know why I've been calling them Witch Doctors, but maybe so far, I mean, maybe with the new patch, the Plague Doctors are gaining 1 additional blight damage per level to their poison attacks. I'm not particularly sure. As I said, I haven't had a chance to upgrade Plague Doctor since mine's level 6, and I haven't really had a chance to get another one. But anyway, as you can see so far, we've had not much actually. I think 2 or 3 battles, nothing significant. But even with having transformed several times, 2 or 3 times I think, we're still sitting on insignificant amount of stress gain. Rather, we've actually stress healed more than been stressed out ever since the beginning of the dungeon. So let's talk about the party composition a little bit. I've talked about trinkets and rambled on about the Abomination, what I think would be changed, but let's talk about the party composition. The Abomination's best position is position 2. All human abilities can be used from position 2, and all monster abilities can be used from position 2. The moment he gets shoved into position 3, he can use all of his human abilities still, but then he won't be able to use Rake and Rage, which will force him to use Slam in monster ability, which is a great ability, but it's not the one you'd really want to use. On the opposite side of the spectrum, if he gets shoved into position 1 and transforms, he can use all monster abilities, but he won't be able to use his human abilities. So, it depends really what you want your Abomination to do. If you're an Abomination that's 100% of the time going to transform, position 1 isn't the worst place for you. But generally speaking, I find that having someone to tank for the Abomination up front, especially since Man-at-Arms has greater range on his abilities, since Rake only hits the first 2 lines, and you know the Man-at-Arms can provide more utility outside of just being sheer damage. You know, defending the back line, damaging enemies with riposte.
Give them no quarter.
I find him to be better off than 2 Abominations. Now, that doesn't say the 2 Abominations is bad, or that there isn't anything better or worse, but again, this is just my personal favorite. Especially since these guys have a mark ability. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think that marking would be the best case scenario here, since random mark, if it crits, it hits like a truck. So I think this time around I'll avoid using riposte. And again, if I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize. I have an accent and you know, I can't do much about it.
A singular strike.
Now, I've gained a moderate amount of stress on all my heroes. So I think that at this point, it would be a fair bet to go ahead, sit down, and camp after this group of monsters here. Since we're already halfway through, we have a decent amount of stress. And now some damage attached to our heroes as well. Now, the reason I'm not going to work on reducing their stress is because when he transforms back, they'll be healing quite a bit. And I want to see how much does he get healed since he has 25. Okay, 20% additional stress heal. So he heals for 7 instead of 6, which is very nice.
Circle in the dark. The battle may yet be won.
Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm removing this because it increases stress damage, and since I'm going to be using Dark Strength, I don't want him to take, I think, 17 or whatnot stress damage instead. Now, remember he has 20% stress damage increase in this dungeon, but also 20% stress damage reduction, so all in all, he'll still be taking just 15 damage. Let's see. Psych up, and then. Alright, cool. Okay, so right now, this is what I'm talking about. 65% damage increase, and considering how insanely high the Abomination's base weapon damage is compared to everyone else, if you see 611, 611, 1122. With this, his damage spikes to 21 and 41. So when he crits, he one-shots nearly everything, which A, prevents damage, prevents stress damage, and B, also results with almost always getting stress heal out of having killed the opponent that quickly. I hate that you can't move. Okay, that's really weird. So, okay, now I'm confused. So, whatever. Okay. Sorry, just weird bugs here and there. Alright, so let's keep going. So now's where the fun really starts, because when you transform into the Abomination, you start raking and getting additional damage. Just things literally explode. It's so damn satisfying. Which is the other part of this party composition I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Man-at-Arms has probably some of the best party skills for No, I want to go this way first. I'd rather go 3. I'd rather go 2 and backtrack 2 rather than 3 and backtrack 3. So let's go this way. I went ahead and used my occultist because while blight resistance is higher on the Abomination, disease resistance, sorry, is higher on the occultist, and that's really what concerns me. Blight is fine, but I don't want to take in any resistances, diseases, sorry, that I can avoid. Now, another thing that I think is going to be changed about the Abomination is that, what is it called? Manacles. Manacles ability, 50% damage reduction doesn't seem significant enough, if you will, considering how incredibly high his base damage is on his weapon, and additionally, the fact that it stuns. To me, with pretty decent base chance. Not the best, but definitely a good, decent stun chance. So I think that might also be tuned down, or at least I would personally tune it down if, you know, I had a say in it. Now I'm not grabbing any of the scrolls, I mean portraits or scrolls or whatnot, because I'm maxed out. So in my Hamlet, so I don't need them. Right now considering this is a decently sized enemy composition, now I can really go ahead and use the wait, 0 rounds left. That's odd. Which I guess they don't have any way to show it properly, because they can't say it's buff until camp, and they can't say it's a buff with a certain amount of rounds because it's just an automatic resist. I don't know, it should say something like 27% blight resist from transform or something like that. I just noticed this. It seems weird.
Precision and power.
Alright, so the crit's coming in handy. Alright, let's go ahead and have him mark himself, considering that they're more likely to attack him at that point. And yeah, deals more damage, but I can mitigate. Sorry. I've been talking non-stop, and I don't do these videos often, so it's challenging for me to keep this up. I can manage the damage he takes with the occultist's heal, and talk about lucky. Right now he's sitting on 104% additional damage. Alright, cool, so they'll move up the line here. He's been missing 6 health, so yeah, we can go ahead and just heal him. You can see, overall, with using the buff from the Jester and then stress healing a little bit, you can pretty much manage any amount of stress that gets obtained from the transformation and the fight itself. So at the end of the day, this party, so long as they don't get any shitty diseases or quirks that you absolutely have to get rid of at the end of the run, the end of the dungeon, you can just keep running them non-stop, because you won't have to worry about stress healing them. Now I'm starting to enter. Oh well, I was about to say I'm starting to get into bad territory because I ran out of torches, but I also finished the dungeon. gonna go ahead and get rid of this. I'm gonna go ahead and just clear the whole dungeon. The reason I removed it is because I'm no longer getting the stress damage reduction. Yeah, I could still benefit from the stress heal, but it's not worth also having the 15% stress damage taken from the light level decreasing. He has, I think, light? Debuff, I don't know. So let's go with him. He has decent debuff, light, and whatnot resistance. Oh. Now, the reason I run this party composition at full light is for two reasons. One, the main objective here is to deal reliable damage, which is very easily done with the buffs given to these guys, plus the Jester's buff, and managing the stress. The additional 3 crit that you get from Darkness is not necessarily worth the increased damage and stress damage that the enemies deal as a result of the Darkness being low. And it slowly ends up, as fights progress in Darkness, it slowly starts to ramp up to the point where you can no longer manage the stress as well. I'm not saying it's unmanageable, but like as you'll see here, the Jester isn't specialized at taking care of multiple enemies at once, so very quickly you can really start to hurt. You know, with a couple more AoE. Let's go ahead and buff him. So I don't want to miss, and I want to have higher crit chance and act faster as well. Pretty much everything that the buff gives. Was I saying? Oh yeah. So a couple more AoE stress abilities like this, and then we start getting into the realm of can't quite manage stress appropriately, and holy shit, he hits hard. Freaking love it.
Foolish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Okay, so what I can do here, equip the, well, that doesn't matter, I guess. Equip the bright tambourine, which will increase the stress heal granted from this fountain. Cool. Alright, also, I'm gonna go ahead and heal him, since I doubt I'm gonna need to eat twice in this hallway. Should have moved into the back line at the end of that last, I mean before this fight, but I messed up. Though, it's not that big a deal.
This expedition at least promises success. Terrors may indeed stalk these shadows, but yonder, a glint of gold.
Now, are we done? Okay, looks like we are. Alrighty. Let's just go ahead and re-equip him. Since I'm just gonna take this party in for another run. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video here. And, oh, sweet. Oh man, I need this. I need the quick reflexes. As much as I like to give him things that increase his offensive capabilities.
How much time has passed since I sent that letter?
Ah, shit. This sucks. It means that I can't run him again right now, because I gotta lock some quirks in. Well, I will go ahead and start another video once these guys are done getting taken care of. And until then, I hope that you enjoy this video. and I hope that it gave you some insight as to one particular party combination to take along with the Abomination. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck.